Hi. I know that there's been a lot of controversy when it comes to the refugees, and I want to offer you some statistics and factual evidence that U.S. government documents provide, so I'm not going to give you any opinions on this one. There are roughly 60 million refugees in the world right now. Of those 60 million refugees, every country accepts only a few thousand of them. East and South Asia accept 34,000, and Africa accepts 25,000. Latin America and the Caribbean accept 3,000, and Europe and Central Asia accept 3,000. This is all per year. And even then, in a lot of the European countries, a lot of them aren't accepting until 2020. The US, however, has been accepting 70,000 refugees per year since 2013. So there's still roughly 58 million refugees out there. And where do you think they go? What do you think they do? A lot of them are just trying to find somewhere to hide. A lot of them are going to camps. A lot of them are going to asylums. A lot of them are just waiting to die. Do you think 10,000 refugees are really a problem? We already accepted 2,200 since September, and Obama wants to increase the amount of refugees to somewhere between 45,000 and 65,000 refugees in a span of 5 years. In the past 4 years, we've accepted thousands of Syrian refugees. Did you care in 2011 when we started? Did you care 2 years ago? Did you care 6 months ago? No. The only reason you care now is because the media has been using words like swarms of people as if they're just coming in and they're just letting them pass through the borders. They're not. Getting a refugee application is hard enough. Being accepted takes months and months of vigorous questions and screening processes. If we use some math, 10,000 refugees divided by 50 states is about 200 refugees per state, if it was distributed that way. But a lot of the states aren't accepting refugees, even though that's a federal decision. Now, if 65,000 refugees are accepted in the next 5 years, if you divide that amongst 50 states, that's 1,300 refugees per state. 200 people per state doesn't fill a water park. It doesn't fill a theater. It doesn't fill an auditorium. 1,300 per state doesn't fill a football field. It doesn't fill a small town. Now, back to the 70,000 to 80,000 proposed refugees. You're all worried about bombings and attacks. You're worried about shootings happening in the US, and you're worried about Syrians and other refugees possibly bringing that. The only mass shootings and bombings that have been happening in the US in the past few years have been from Americans, isolated troubled youths. We've been accepting 70,000 refugees per year. Where are your attacks? Where are your murders? Where is the pillaging and bombings? The terrorist groups that we have here now, 77 are supposedly ISIS members, but they're not the ones that we should be fearing all the time. We still have many more terrorist groups that have been here for decades, one of them being the KKK. You've heard what's happened at Mizzou University. You know that this is happening. We're not the only ones receiving terrorists. We're also the ones causing terror. Now, the Boston attacks, they weren't refugees. Keep in mind, they were students here on student visas. Student and travel visas are a lot easier to attain than refugee applications. Now, I've been hearing this whole, you get 100 M&Ms and 10 of them are possibly poisoned. Are you still going to eat them? Well, if you're using that example, you were dead before you got that bowl. We've been terrorists for so many years. Veterans and the homeless, I've been hearing that too. Why don't we provide for the veterans? Why don't we solve our homeless problem? Well, why don't we? If you were so interested in this before, I haven't seen you at soup kitchens. I haven't seen you lending a hand to a homeless person. If you're so worried about the veterans, why aren't you talking to your politicians? They're the ones that cut government funding on veterans. They care more about you being in the war instead of what happens to you after it. I will gladly provide you with links so that you can help. I will gladly go with you to shelters. Giving a homeless person $2 or $3 isn't helping. You're worried that these refugees are terrorists. Well, let me explain the difference between terrorists, Muslims, and Syrians. Muslims, like Christians, are a religious group. Syrians are people from Syria. And terrorists are people that cause terror, and they come from all over. Jews went through the same exact thing during World War II. We didn't want them. A lot of them came from Germany, and we accepted them. We actually accepted 137,450 refugees from Germany. And then we accepted another 100,000 displaced people. Now, I don't know if you remember this from any of your history classes, but we're all immigrants. If you're Native American, I'm really sorry for you, because we raped and pillaged and murdered all your people. And that wasn't really nice. All the people coming from the Middle East, they're all beautiful souls. They're just trying to escape the very terror that we're fighting. These people, they've been kicked around, they've been burned, they've been shot, they've been humiliated. They've spent thousands of dollars on strangers that promised them a safe boat to cross to Turkey. And a lot of them have seen their parents, their siblings, their children, and their spouses drowned. They've seen them shot. They've seen them starved. They're not lazy. They're not looking for handouts. They've endured more terrific acts of violence than you and I could ever imagine. These people want freedom. They want to escape. I became a citizen in the past year, and it was one of the happiest days of my life. I'm sure many of your ancestors feel the same way. Ellis Island was established to provide shelter to the homeless, to the hungry, to the weak. On the Statue of Liberty, it says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free." It doesn't say RSVP if you're Christian and white. If you are a Christian, remember that your Jesus was born in a manger because he was also a refugee and no one offered him a home. Be humble, stay humble, help your fellow human being. We all care. We all want peace.